What's up guys, my name is Ivan Valdovinos, and on this channel I provide tips, tricks, advice, and strategies for your graduate school applications. So if you are new here, consider subscribing. In today's video, I have an example of a resume that got my friend into the University of Washington Communication Leadership Program. If you haven't already seen the statement of purpose that I read that was sent with this exact resume, go ahead and check that out. I will have it in the description down below, but I would also put it in the card somewhere up here. That way you're able to see what a statement of purpose looks like for this application package and how that statement of purpose complemented this resume and vice versa. And he was able to get in with this with these two documents. Alright, so the first thing that this student did was he wrote his name on top in size 18 font. And so I did omit a couple of information from this resume just because I want to keep his identity anonymous. And so he did have his last name here, and he also had an email and a phone number to be contacted if he was going to receive, like, let's say, an interview for the master's program. So he did have that under here, under his name, but I omitted that because obviously I wanted to keep his identity anonymous. But when you are going to work on your resume, definitely put your whole last name here and some contact information. I suggest that you put your email, and it should be a professional email, whether it's a professional Gmail or a school account or a professional or your job email. Put that under here, and then also put your phone number, as well as maybe if you have a LinkedIn account, definitely put that in there if it's professional and up to date. So it's going to complement your resume here. This student does something unique. Usually I see resumes that start off with the education piece, but as you can tell, this student actually started off with this relevant experience, and his heading here is relevant experience. In my opinion, I would change that a little bit to maybe put like communication experience or experience in communication, or something that kind of ties in the communication experience. But as you can tell, he put relevant experience for a couple of reasons, which I'll get into a little bit later because we'll see exactly why. But the first thing that he does is he puts his Seattle Central College experience. So as you can tell on the right hand side here, he puts 2016 to present, but also 2018 to present. And the first one, 2016 to present, is referring to he's been working at Seattle Central since 2016. And he puts that like that because he does have two experiences, two positions within Seattle Central College, but at different time frames. So the first one, the most recent position, is a community relations associate, and so he puts under that 2018 to present because that's his current job. So if you've been working at the same organization for a large amount of time, but you have multiple positions, you can do something similar like this person did in order for you to be able to distinguish that you've worked at the institution for a long time, but also that you have held different positions. And so as you can tell, he's very descriptive. His position here is Office of Strategic Partnerships. That's where he works, and he does a lot of work. So you can tell he was very specific in his bullets here. So for example, he has served as a project manager for an annual campus project, including fact sheets, employee relations, and alumni relations activities. To improve this, I would have mentioned exactly what that annual campus projects are. That way the committee gets a sense of things that you actually did. Maybe they're familiar with the work because as a reminder, he did apply for the University of Washington in Seattle. So the faculty in that school might know Seattle Central College really well and the projects that are done there. So if he would have been more specific, that could have helped out, but obviously he got in, so it didn't matter that much. But I recommend that you are specific with your bullet points here to make sure that you are not leaving your experience for someone to just assume or make up. You want to be direct and tell them exactly what you did and put detail and facts. The second position he held at Seattle Central was as a communications consultant in the public information office. So he did that for 2 years. And one thing that I liked about this is that he actually hyperlinked some of the newsletters that he had actually written. As you can tell here, it's bolded in blue because it's a hyperlink. So he was awarded gold medallion award for April 2017 community newsletter, silver award for October community newsletter, and he was awarded a silver award for the 50th anniversary microsite from National Council for Marketing and Public Relations. So he's putting in some of the awards he won and hyperlinks to the work he has done. So if the committee wants to see what type of work he has done in the communication space, they can click the hyperlink, and that can show them what he's actually done. So I really like that tactic and strategy, because he's showcasing his work and he's allowing the committee to look further than just the resume in terms of what he can accomplish in the communication space. So as you can tell, the first two experiences here are related to communication, which is obviously the major that or the master's program he wants to pursue, which is a great way to tackle this resume. In the next couple of experiences here, you see that he is a shift supervisor, bartender, server. So this is unique because usually I don't recommend that applicants put irrelevant experiences, but for him, he probably wanted to show that he had experience, that he wasn't taking a gap year, and that he has experience in community service, because communication, or as a bartender, as a server, he's going to be communicating and utilizing his communication skills quite a lot, and so that kind of works well with his major. But I wouldn't recommend that you put something like this in your resume if it doesn't directly relate to your program, because what if they ask you in an interview, like, why did you put your shift as a supervisor / bartender? So you're gonna have to think of a way that it relates to your field, and if you can, definitely put it, and if not, then don't. Then he continues by putting an intern position that he did at C+C, social marketing and PR. And if you actually go check out the statement of purpose that he wrote, he actually tied this experience in with the statement of purpose. And what he mentioned in the statement of purpose was that he actually met an alumni of the master's program that he's applying to at C++. So his supervisor had told him about the program and possibly even told him to apply to that program so he can build his skill sets. And so he's making that connection not only with the statement of purpose, but also his resume. And so in his resume, he talks more about the skill sets that he learned versus the connections he made. So that's a really good strategy and a way to connect your resume and statement of purpose. He also mentioned some undergraduate, positions that he held. So he held a position with the as a communications assistant with the Office of International Programs. He also held a marketing and communications / friends and family intern position at his undergraduate institution. And then he was a student manager as well for Gridiron Burgers and Fries. And so he's showcasing his experience at the undergraduate level, at the professional level. And I really like that because I did something similar with my statement of purpose / CV that I shared, which you can also check out in the cards up here, but also down below in the description, which I'll place down there. And then finally, he talks about his education. So he talks about his Bachelor of Arts in Communication as an undergraduate student. And then he talks about he updated it here, so he had already gotten into the Masters of Communications in Communities and Networks, so he puts that in there, but prior to him getting accepted, that wasn't there. So I think the reason why he decided to put that at the end was because when he was applying, he only had one educational experience and one degree, and so he didn't think it was as relevant, especially because the application is going to ask you to put this information on the actual application, and so you don't have to repeat yourself twice and put it in the resume. But I would recommend that you do, but you might not need it at the very top, because obviously they're going to be skimming through this and they're going to be reading things that interest them in more detail. And so he did that in terms of his strategy. As you can tell also that this resume was only 2 pages long, and so you want to make sure that you kind of think about like the page length that you want to put, and you can add more subheadings if you can. Like if you go check out my CV that I sent to PhD programs, then you can kind of see the difference in resume versus CV. My CV was 5 pages because I wanted to showcase everything that I had done at the undergraduate and professional level, and I did a lot as an undergraduate student, so I just put everything in there that related to education, whereas this student was more concise and to the point, and he did a mixture of communication / professional, undergraduate / bartending, and that all relates to communication. So it depends on really your field and what you think is gonna represent you the best, and so that's how I recommend that you approach the resume or the CV. So yes, I think he did a lot of really great things and different things too. Like if you look at standard resumes or CVs, this is not as standard. As I mentioned, he didn't put his education at the top first. He didn't. He added like things like shift supervisor, bartender. Those are things that you normally don't see in academic CVs or resumes, but it worked out for him and he got in. Alright, so that concludes the resume example for a master's program. If you learned something new, please give this video a like and subscribe, and also share with a friend that's going through the process now or plans to apply for graduate school in the future, and I will see you in the next video.